Okay, we'll try this one more time. So I wanted to reiterate with the greens, eating a little bit of fat with your greens to increase the intake or the absorption of the fat soluble nutrients that are found in greens, like vitamin K, like beta carotene, excuse me. So that can be an important aspect of eating your greens, making sure that you're getting the nutrition that you can from those super healthy foods. So then we will move on to the vegetables. Um, Actually, no, I apologize. We'll go back. I wanted to talk a little bit about flavoring your greens appropriately to get rid of the icky tastes that can be associated with that stuff. So with greens, they can taste really bitter and kind of gross. So like salty or sweet flavors are really good at increasing or masking that bitter flavor. So salty or sweet flavors, you can increase the amount of fat that you're eating your greens with. I would do that through either nuts or seeds or a little bit of avocado, and that can help to decrease the bitter flavor. And like I said, it increases nutrient absorption. Then I really like sour flavors, like vinegar with my greens, and I really like spice with my greens because both of those just kind of cut through that like heavy or bitter flavor that you can get from eating greens, which isn't so nice. Um, and then the other thing is just to give yourself some time. You know, if you start eating a bunch of greens and you just really don't like the taste, it does take a little bit of time for your taste buds to adapt, for your microbiome to adapt and help adjust the kinds of foods that you crave and such. So just give yourself some time. And with that, we can move on to the vegetables. Oh, yes, and Kelly mentions garlic. Garlic and greens are best friends. Yes, garlic, and I will add ginger too. Thank you for reminding me with that, Kelly. And thank you for showing up to the fourth video. I appreciate that. Okay, so vegetables. Like we've mentioned a couple of times, um, and Dr. Greger gets into variety is so important with the veggies. So most of us don't even know that there are so many amazing vegetables on this planet. And we could literally eat a new one every single day, and I doubt we'd ever run out. So, great news about this chapter is that sweet potatoes count as vegetables. Yes, sweet potatoes, one of the best foods on earth, count as vegetables. So that's fantastic. Just thought you should know. The mushrooms, too, are the other thing. Now, I've said this before, mushrooms are a bit of an issue for me. Just I love them. I guess they're just like, oh, thank you for timing them out. I love them. I just thought it's like maybe they're expensive. I always put them in the fridge and then I forget about them and then I find them when they're stinky. Um, I just it just never works between us, but it really needs to because they're high in this type of antioxidant that can actually get inside your mitochondria. And your mitochondria are your energy, your ATP producing machines inside your cells. That's also where the majority of free radicals are going to be created inside of your cells. So it's so important that there be antioxidants available to kind of stamp out those free radicals before they escape from the mitochondria and end up causing a lot of damage. So what's so cool is how high mushrooms are in that chemical. I think it's called ergothioneine, ergothionine, or nope, ergothionine. Excuse me. Yeah, and the other thing that was really excited was that the um, the next highest food in ergothionine was black beans, and I eat black beans all the time, but mushrooms are especially high. So I gotta get my mushroom intake up. I usually do them in stir fries, I guess like soups sometimes or something, but I just they're just so small, and then they just get smaller when you cook them. It makes me angry. Carla says, "Hi, Because you got to meet Dr. Gregor, High Carb Hannah, and so many awesome peeps on the holistic cruise, it was a dream come true. What? I'm not sure who. I didn't get to go on the cruise, but maybe you're talking to someone else. Okay. Okay. Amber says garlic ginger curry with sweet potatoes over rice for dinner tonight. I'm so stuffed. Oh, that sounds so good. That sounds so freaking delicious. Melinda says, would mushroom powder be okay if someone, like me, can't bring themselves to enjoy them? I want to like mushrooms so badly, but it's the only food I just can't eat. That's a good question. I haven't heard too much specifically on that, but I know that there are lots of products coming out right now, like the mushroom teas. Don't freeze. Oh my god. The mushroom teas and stuff, which are supposed to be just as healthy, if not healthier, than the mushrooms that we eat. So I would think that that could be a good way to get some mushrooms into your diet. However, since I'm such a believer in whole plant foods, and since I haven't heard or been told definitively that mushroom powder is great, I don't know if I can get behind that 100%, but it sounds like you are not going to eat mushrooms anyway. So maybe that's the best thing for you to do. Equivocal Truth says, yay, I'm making sweet potatoes for dinner with my limp broccoli stir fry. Perfect. Very perfect. Megan says, should going mushroom hunting. Oh, she says she should be going mushroom hunting next month. The only hunting I condone. That's really cool. I've never wild gathered mushrooms. Dr. Gregor did say in here that all wild edible mushrooms should be considered red light foods. I'm not sure if that's just because of the toxicity issue with the morel mushrooms that he was talking about, but I haven't heard anyone else say that, and I've heard so many people talk about how healthy mushrooms are that I would like to know more on that subject, yeah? All right. Nivea says, I'm friends with one of those more pure than a centaur unicorn aspiring raw foodists. All about herbs, fasting, anti-grains, annoys me all the time about eating conventional and possible GMOs. What do you think? No big deal. So with the GMO issues, I know we've talked about this before briefly, but generally speaking, GMOs are sprayed with more pesticides. The majority of GMOs are fed to animals, livestock, so they end up getting most of the pesticide brunt. But there are several GMO foods like tomatoes, like potatoes, that are fed to humans regularly, and I think the primary issue that I see with it is that a lot of genetically modified foods are they've had their DNA spliced with the DNA of viruses and bacteria, and since viruses and bacteria share DNA with each other so readily, that's part of why they evolve so quickly and they're able to mutate so quickly, because they share DNA back and forth with each other. It's just kind of the question of, we eat that food that has modified DNA that belongs to bacteria and viruses. How could that perhaps interact with viruses or bacteria in our environment or inside our intestines? And some experts have talked about this. A lot of experts claim that it's not a problem. I'm not sure if I believe them or not. But as far as eating GMOs, it's not something that I freak out about. Generally speaking, I avoid foods that could possibly be GMOs anyway. I'm not eating a ton of corn products. I'm not buying a lot of conventional produce, but I don't think it needs to be something that you freak out about. It's worthy of that. Making sure that you're eating enough whole plant foods is probably much more important than freaking out about stuff like that. That's my 2 cents. Okay. Kelly says, don't eat gathered mushrooms unless you go with a professional. Mushrooms can kill you if you eat the wrong ones. Yep, that's absolutely true. if you do go hunting for wild mushrooms, you need to go with someone who is extremely good at identifying mushrooms because it's very, very risky. Okay. Oh, okay. Carla, I understand now. That's so cool. I'm so glad that you got to meet them on the cruise. That's amazing. Okay. Um, okay. Anna says now they have mushroom coffee. ETs? ETS? I'm not sure what that is. But I love any porcini, portobello, and shiitake. I love them. Yeah, I know a lot of people are raving about the mushroom teas, usually because they're selling mushroom teas, which kind of makes me question how genuinely awesome these teas are. Certainly, I leave room that they could be an amazing superfood that we should all include in our diet, but it seems to be that most of those people making those claims do have financial ties to it. So, anyway, more things about vegetables. They have all of the cancer fighting benefits. Cancer fighting in the mushrooms. So he has that section on, starts on page 330 that's called How to Make a Cancer Fighting Salad. And I found this kind of fun because salads are like puzzles to me and you just have to put in all the great parts and then you get this wonderful puzzle that's finished and then you get to eat it. So he was speaking specifically about like the sulforaphane and the cruciferous veggies and then the allium in garlic and onions and spring onions and other stuff like that. And it sounds pretty amazing, you guys. And I gotta say, my salad game is pretty good, but I feel like I could up it a little bit more. And since I read How Not to Die, I've definitely upped my salad game. Like, lots more cruciferous veggies. I might even top them with mushrooms now. I just have to figure out a way to make it happen, make myself do it. Definitely making sure I'm getting the red onions in there since they're so high in antioxidants compared to white onions. Make sure green onions and herbs are finding their way into my salad. I really love putting kidney beans on top of my salads because they're so creamy and delicious. And I've gotten a little bit lazy over time about food and sometimes I'll make a specific salad, but a lot of times I'll just put greens and a bunch of different types of veggies and herbs in a bowl and then pour black beans all over them and then smush up some sweet potato in that and it's literally my favorite food. I can't get enough of it and it is so freaking yummy. So freaking yummy. Ooh, Britt says she likes mushroom pineapple pizza. That sounds amazing. Alley Cat Girl said, I just had mushrooms on my vegan pizza today. There you go. Perfect. The Needy Homemaker says mushrooms in a spring wrap might be good. Yeah, I bet that would be really delicious. I mean, it's not that I don't like mushrooms. I just accidentally forget about them every time. Amber says, I'm trying to up my salad game too. I've been good about having them for dinner, but not so much for lunch. Oh yeah, I don't often have salads for lunch unless they're salads from the night before left over, just because I never like prepare my lunches. They're always kind of leftovers from the night before. So if there's a little bit of veggies, I'll have that, but I do like to get, my veggies as fresh as possible. But I would say like one salad per day or like 5 salads a week is a great place to start. No need to beat yourself up over that. Little baby sweet potato, I feel like a long time no see. She says, hi Lily. I just got out of bulimia and anorexia hospitalization. Oh, okay, that's why. And my mom won't let me be Whole Foods vegan because she sees it as unhealthy. And she wants me to eat oils. How can I persuade her? I definitely understand her issues. with you trying to do a diet that could potentially be a little bit more restrictive, you know, given the situation and everything. So I understand where she's coming from, and I think one of the most important things that you can do for her is validate her concern and acknowledge that she has every reason to be worried about you right now. She has every reason to be freaked out by specific diets that are outside the realm of normal, you know, normal for us. I would also say that recovering is a really important step for you right now. And I remember when I was recovering, I wanted to recover and maintain all of my control issues around food. I wanted to do both of those. And I guess in some ways I did, because I recovered and went onto a whole plant food diet, but there was a time when I was trying to recover, and I'm not saying that it was necessary, but it was helpful for me to have a time where I kind of forced myself to eat things that I knew I shouldn't, just to break that freak out. Because for so long I thought, like, oh, if I eat that, you know, I'm going to get fat immediately. I'm going to gain tons of weight, or it's going to hurt my health, or I'm just going to be, you know, my cells are going to die because it's poison. But then I actually ate it, and I was fine. You know, there was a time, I guess it was like 5 or 6 years ago, I had been vegan for like 4 or 5 years, or 3 years, I guess. I had been vegan, and Levi fed me a roast beef sandwich, and I didn't want to be rude, and I didn't want to say no. We had just met. He didn't know I was vegan, and he gave it to me, and I was like, maybe I can eat this. And I ate it, and I felt fine. And it didn't poison me, and I didn't gain a ton of weight, and I didn't, like, my world didn't come crashing down. And I was okay. And then I decided after that, like, I don't want to eat this again. And I didn't. But I felt like that was an important step in my recovery of eating something that was really, really bad, right? And realizing that I was okay. So I guess to get back to your question would be, you know, right now if your mom wants you to eat some oils, it's not going to hurt you. And that's really important. So that's important to understand. You can eat a little bit of oil, you'll be fine. And then perhaps if you can work with your mom, acknowledging that she has a reason to be concerned, while also trying to express to her that you would like to not eat oil in the long run, then maybe you guys can work together during your recovery, and it won't have to be an antagonistic relationship. So you can ask her to read some books, you know, ask her to read something like How Not to Die, or watch Forks Over Knives or What the Health or something, and explain that it's not something that she needs to be worried about health-wise, you not eating oil, but she also does have every valid reason to be worried about you. Okay? Okay. Okay. As far as vegetables go, I also want to make sure that we cover the best cooking method before I get off track again with more questions. Ketter. No. Ketter, don't bark again. Don't you dare bark again. Ketter, no. Ketter, sit down. Thank you. Okay. The best cooking practices. So I was a little bit surprised about this one, specifically because he was talking about how great microwaving food is. No. I'm sorry, Ketter. No vocalizing right now. Okay. Good boy. He was talking about how great microwaving is. It's preserving nutrient and antioxidant content, and I just, It's like one of those preconceived beliefs in my head. Like, I just can't believe it. I just cannot. It's my freaking bias. I can't believe it. I don't want to do it. Anyway. Um, apparently, microwaving is okay. We don't own a microwave. I have no plans on buying a microwave. Like, they creep me out. I don't have any other better reasoning than that. Um, I don't like microwaves. And then the other thing, the real reason, is that no one cleans them ever. I'm the only one that ever cleans the microwave, and everybody else uses the microwave and explodes stuff inside of it and then just leaves it to be caked on. So I'm not adding another thing to the list of things that I have to clean by myself, right? So if you're not going to microwave like me, you could look at boiling or steaming, although that does affect the antioxidant content. He does indicate that if you're making something like a soup, those nutrients would be lost into the water, but I feel like a lot of those nutrients are heat sensitive, so they would be affected by heat. Obviously, we can get into some raw foodist logic and just think, well, then I'll never eat anything that's cooked. Okay, if that's what you want to do, I like warm things. So I'm still going to do it. They're still super healthy foods, but it just depends how pedantic you want to get about it, I suppose. Now, he does kind of sing the praises of like roasting and baking, and he says that those are good for nutrient preservation, but he doesn't mention things like advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which I made a video about. And in high heat cooking methods, you get a lot more formation of potentially free radical causing compounds like AGEs or other free radicals. So I'm not a big fan of roasting or baking unless it's for a very specific flavor purpose. He does also mention the acrylamide formation, which is a carcinogen, which does form when starch-based foods are exposed to high levels of heat. So I usually stick to steaming or boiling or pressure cooking. I would like to see some more information about the pressure cooking. Yeah? Okay. Other than that, if you guys have anything else that you want to add about the cooking methods and stuff, feel free to do that. I will pop over right quick and talk about the organic, whether or not we need to be buying organic foods and spending lots of money on them. I always just say, buy organic if you can afford to. If you can't, just buy whole plant foods. Buy the ones that you can afford, and I think you'll be okay. Okay? Yeah. Day says they like grilled veggies. Very nice. Nia says I steam my veggies. Sure, we'll get some more in, and then we can do some questions, presumably until my internet messes up again. So I will let you guys know if the internet cuts out again. I'm not going to start the 5th live stream. So I will also mention that for next week we are going to read chapters on flax seeds, nuts and seeds, and herbs and spices. So the next 3 chapters in the Daily Dozen. Don't worry, the flaxseed chapter is like a page long. You'll be fine. All right? And then maybe we can get back into the comments, see what's going on. Oh, lots of controversies over the microwaves. Dan says, no microwaving. I couldn't believe it either. I know. Who knew microwaves were good for you? I still don't believe it. I still can't believe it. Purely Sold by Coral says, I can't do microwaves. I get that there are studies that they aren't damaging, but I'm still so skeptical. Same. I'm like, it's just weird. It's just weird to me. I get that it's just manipulating energy in a way that's slightly different from other heat sources, but it freaks me out. Britt says, what? I use a microwave a lot. And Britt, it appears that that's fine. Like Dr. Greger says that microwaving is great for preserving nutrients and antioxidants, so I don't know. It's just, weird to me. Anyway, Anna says, I'm not sure if you saw this comment in take 3, but I really want to know know that your story made me better. Okay, hold on, I have to read that comment. I'm not sure if you saw this in comment take 3, but I really want you to know that your story made me a better mom. Oh, thank you. I see what you say now. Thank you. That's the most that I could ask for, is that any story I tell or share would be helpful to someone in some way in whatever journey they're going through. Yeah. Little baby sweet potato says, sorry for all the questions, but how did you not relapse when you recovered? I'm really struggling not to purge. I've done it since 10 and I'm almost 17 now. I just want to be normal. I understand that. When I was recovering, there wasn't a day when I recovered. It was, I would be binging and purging a lot, maybe a couple times a day. And then I would get myself to where I could go a couple days apart. And then I might have several days where I went back into my old pattern. And then I would get maybe, a 4 or 5 day stretch where I was normal about food. And then I would go back and I would do it again. When I was really dedicated to recovery, I would go for a week, and then maybe once a week I would slip back into my old pattern and try to be really loving and nurturing with myself of, okay, I messed up. It's not the end of the world. We're just going to start again. It just is what it is, and I had an eating disorder for almost 10 years. It just keeps going, and it got to, I would be good for a week, then maybe I would be good for 2 weeks at a time, then I got to the point where I could go a couple of months, and then maybe 6 months between episodes, and there were always times where I would just get really overwhelmed, and I would just slip back into that old pattern, and it would kind of surprise me, and I was blindsided by it a little bit, but every single time I promised myself to be compassionate about what had happened and to say, all right, well, I screwed up. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of me. It's not the end of my recovery. It doesn't make me a failure. It just makes me a person who's going through something, I remember one of the times that I hit rock bottom. I was at work, and I worked in a restaurant, and there was food around, and I got really good at being able to squirrel away food and then eat it when nobody was looking, or when I thought nobody was looking. And then at the end of the service, after a couple of hours, I would go in the bathroom and just try to get rid of it all, And I was in the bathroom for a while, obviously, and someone knocked on the door, and I was like, oh crap, and I tried to get myself together, and my eyes were all puffy, and I looked like shit, and I walked out, and everyone was like, oh my god, are you okay? And they were freaking out, and I started freaking out, and I literally just broke down and started sobbing, and fell over on the floor, just crying, I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal. And feeling so frustrated and feeling like that was so far out of my reach. And that was 6 years ago, and it still makes me feel a little bit anxious when I hear it, because part of me is how did I ever get myself out of that place? Part of me is how did I ever get to that place in the first place? And part of me is really grateful that I did get through it. It's very, it's hard to really quantify how I did it, right? But just because it's been a while, just because this has been your pattern, doesn't mean that it's going to be your pattern forever. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like this forever. It's just literally one day at a time, like I see Dan said, and you just kind of take it and do your best, and you mess up and you slip up and you fail, and I know that I had a therapist that I talked with, and she was really understanding and compassionate with me, and that was helpful. I didn't have my parents involved. I understand that that could be even more pressure because not only do you have the internal pressure going, but then you have someone externally coming in and constantly trying to micromanage and cause you some more stress. And I understand why your mom feels that way. I do, but I'm not sure if it's a helpful thing or not, you know. So I feel for you. I feel for what you're going through right now. I've been there in a lot of ways. Lynn says, yesterday was my 18th birthday. Happy birthday. She says she woke up and cried because I'm happy to be alive after years of hating myself and hating life. Almost a year since becoming vegan and recovering from eating disorder. I'm so glad that you're happy. I know what that feels like, to just be like overwhelmed with emotion because, my God, my life is different and I made my life different. And I'm so proud of you that you were able to turn it around for yourself. And it is so much a process. Yeah. Jay says, it's different for each person, but strength and support will get you through. Dan says, oh my Lily, that story brings back so many emotions. It's hard, but it does get better, and it is something you can overcome. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely, it's something that you can overcome. It doesn't feel like it when you're in the middle of it, but it's possible. It happens. It takes a lot of dedication to yourself and a lot of dedication to learning to treat yourself kindly and learning to take care of your body and your mind and a lot of deep breaths, man. Yes. Lily, I can't find your hypothyroid video, one of your older ones. Is there any way you can make a similar one? Yes, I have planned to do like an updated version of the hypothyroid video. I took it down just because like the quality wasn't up to what I want on my channel anymore. So I took it down, but I will be doing a more informative, more articulate version of that video in the future. Thank you. Little baby sweet potato says, Lily, you're such a compassionate soul. Thank you, truly. I'm trying my best, and I know it won't last forever. I just have to overcome it now. I wish you all the best. You know, I feel like compassion is bred from going through stuff with other. You just, you know, on the other side of what you're going through right now, you're gonna have such a deep compassion for other people who are where you are right now, and it's just experience that makes it that. So I feel that you're trying your best, and your best changes every day. Yeah. It's harder sometimes than others, but you will be okay if you keep trying. That's all I have to say. Okay. Anna says, being with people, friends and family helped me. Being alone took it back to self-hating, analyzing, and binge purge, but everyone is different. Yeah, everyone is different. There were times that being with people helped me. There were other times when I did need to be alone for parts of my recovery, just because I'm such a codependent people pleaser that if other people are around, I start getting really tuned into their emotions instead of mine. So it's just a matter of getting to know yourself and respecting what you need. Yeah. Sandy says, was it hard for you to transition to veganism? I've gone vegan many times, but I just end up having relapses all the time. Yeah, I wanted to be vegan for several years before I actually succeeded at it. Cheese was always my hang up. Cheese and then food that other people would cook for me. Those were what was difficult for me. I found that once I was eating enough and once I was eating really nutrient dense foods, I didn't get cravings so much for animal foods anymore. Being in a house where I was constantly surrounded by plenty of healthy vegan food was really helpful as well. Just making sure that if I got hungry, I had something that I could just grab and eat. Fruit was great for that. I know fruit doesn't always hit everybody's spots all the time, but even if I could just have an apple or something and kind of take the hunger edge off, it would allow me to make some better choices. Um, if you can find a place to live that's vegan or doesn't have animal products in the fridge, that's always really helpful too. And then, as the short story that I just told about Levi handing me a roast beef sandwich and me eating it when I was like 3 years into veganism and trying to recover from an eating disorder, like, I have not been a perfect vegan. So just try not to be too hard on yourself, and one day at a time, eat as many whole plant foods as you want. Make sure you're fed. And one meal at a time. Before you know it, you'll be looking at a month vegan with no slip ups. Or not. Don't be mean to yourself, because that won't help anything. Nivea says, whole time no one ever had a clue about my eating disorder. When I was 19, I finally told the person closest to me, and that helped me feel accountable, or like I need to be nice to myself because I didn't want to let anyone down. Yeah. I remember I was like 23 and I told my mom, and my mom was actually okay about it, but she did throw it in my face later. But that's just my mom. You don't have to be scared of sharing with other people. Yeah, some people know how to, like, some people have that capacity to handle it. Other people just get really uncomfortable because they're having their own emotions. And I imagine that for a parent, especially a parent of a child who's under 18, it's really difficult to, it would be really difficult to go through that with your child. Yeah. Anna says leather shoes was the hardest for me to give up as a vegan. I feel you, man. Leather is a great material, and what I'm really excited about is that there is now lab-grown leather, which does not come from an animal. It is biologically the same as leather, like same as cow skin, but it doesn't come from a cow. It literally grows in like a freaking petri dish in a lab. And apparently that is going to be coming out within the next several years. So us as vegans might actually be able to use that wonderful, durable, biodegradable material, leather, again, soon. We might not have to deal with all this pleather BS with the freaking not breathable and not moldable and rips and whatever. Leather's a tough one to give up. I don't use it from animals, but I will use it if it's grown in a lab, so I'm kind of excited about that. Sarah says, do you ever still get cravings? Yes. Every time I drive past Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'm like, that smells amazing and disgusting, but also amazing. I still think bacon smells incredibly good. Just junk food in general, I smell it, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. But do my best to resist those. It's not like a craving anymore, but I acknowledge that that's amazing. I did find that when I was eating enough calories, as long as I wasn't trying to calorie restrict, I felt okay, but, cravings can be tough. Equivocal Truth says there are some very realistic mock meats if you're super craving. Yes, indeed, there are. Anna Farrell says, I started eating more beans and cabbage because of you. That warms my heart. So glad to hear. The Needy Homemaker said, more beans and cabbage. I bet that can clear a room. Yeah, when I started eating more beans and cabbage, it was like a 2-week transition period of having some interesting digestive goings-ons, but microbiome got used to it. Equivocal Truth says, have you seen that mushroom leather? It's so interesting. Yeah, that's another type of leather that's like really weird. And then the Needy Homemaker says there's a company that makes leather out of kombucha scobies. Wow. See? All this. The future's coming. Oh yeah, and then there's the Pinatex. That's the leather substitute made out of pineapple leaves. That's crazy. Britt says leather creeps me out. It's skin. Indeed, it is a little creepy. S says, how do you handle digesting multiple foods together? I tend to gravitate to mono or two ingredient meals. My stomach hurts if I eat more than two types of foods at once. I understand that. When I was eating raw foods, I would do a lot of mono meals or meals with, a salad with less than 5 ingredients. And that felt really necessary for my digestion. If I ate more complex meals, I would get a lot of indigestion, a lot of gurgling, a lot of burping stuff up. That was especially bad when I was in my eating disorder. Yeah? So when my body was used to throwing stuff up, as soon as I ate something, it would just try to do that naturally. So that would be really difficult to eat more complex meals. What I found is that as time has gone by, as I have consistently been eating whole plant foods, yet several different types of them at once, my digestion has gotten much stronger. And it's gotten to the point where I can pretty much eat anything and it's okay. But it did take several years for that to happen. Okay? Sarah says, I feel like you've talked about this a while ago, but would you eat the lab-grown meat? Yeah, so now it's called clean meat. That is the new moniker. And no, I wouldn't eat it because it's animal flesh, it's animal protein, it has the saturated fat and the cholesterol, and it's just not a taste that I'm looking for. I don't feel like I want that in my diet at all. I don't feel like it would be a health food. However, for people who do eat meat, sorry, Curtis, my tortoise. For people who do eat meat, who refuse to give up meat, I think that's a great option. But I personally wouldn't eat it. Betsa says, hi Lily, I just subscribed yesterday. Thank you. It's 3 a.m. here. Oh my goodness. I binge watch your videos because I'm trying a new approach to losing weight. Do you have some videos where you address salt intake? Yes, I do have a video on salt, sodium specifically. I usually eat about 1,500 milligrams per day, maybe a little bit less. It's easy to do when you're not eating processed foods. No salt. When I ate a diet that contained no salt, I did lose a lot of water weight, about 15 pounds of water weight, but I constantly had salt cravings. I felt a little bit floofy and lightheaded and weird at times because my fluid balance wasn't great. I think I am one of those people that needs a little bit of salt to feel more balanced, so I stick to around 1,500 milligrams per day, but there is a video on the topic. Thank you for asking. Okay. Yeah, Dan, I would like to know that. Did anyone else do the pee experiment where you pour purple cabbage juice onto your pee and see which color it turns? Because I still haven't done it. Oh. Do I have cheat days? Not really specific cheat days. I don't plan it. If I'm in a situation where, let's say, a vegan ice cream cone is available, okay, just lay down, Kevin. If a vegan, gluten-free ice cream cone is available, I might eat it. I don't do that every day, but I don't plan it in advance. I don't make it a whole cheat thing. It's if I want something that's a little bit greasy or processed, I just think, do I want this? Do I want to eat it?